Hello everybody, this is just a quick little video because I'm not going to be able to show you me in action doing what I did, but I want to show you how it turned out because this was quite the experiment. As you know, this is a white rotary, and a white rotary is built different than a Singer in a lot of ways. It runs the opposite direction and things like that, but this gal is now, as far as I know, one of the very first hand crank operated white rotaries in existence. At least as far as I know. I mean, I'm sure someone can correct me. But I want to show you how I was able to do this and why it's such a troublesome feat. So first of all, I've never seen an original white rotary hand crank, so I don't know that they exist. This is what you can buy. It's the generic hand crank, and they are built to fit onto a lot of Singer machines. Okay, white rotaries, if they have a motor boss placement at all, it is not in the correct place for a oops, I need to wipe that off. It's not in the correct place for a mount like this to go onto, because it's going to make everything off center. In addition to that, these are shaped inverted. On a Singer, the sides are lower and the center comes out. On these, the sides are higher, the center goes in. It's just a totally different shape, totally different screw size, everything like that. So if you can see, what I have done is she is in a box, and it has to be a box that you can screw into, obviously. And this is a T-bracket, T-plate, I should say. T-plate, and it is the 4-inch T-plate. Mine's from Ace Hardware, but you know, it is what it is. Then I had to bend it so that it would be the proper distance in order to get the center of this part of the hand crank to be in the same location as the center of the wheel. Okay, that's important. And as you can see, it's very close down there. We have just a hair of space between the wheel and the bracket. So it has to be exactly placed. Then the other thing is, the wheel spokes on these are also in a totally different orientation than on a Singer. So whereas on a Singer, this little nub will just flop in, it'll be between the spokes and it'll spin. What I have done is, this is the rubber piece that comes with the hand wheel, is I have taken a black zip tie around one of the spokes, and I made sure it was one of the spokes that was on the opposite side than the clutch. This is the clutch release here. I did not want this right on top of that because that would be a pain. Okay, so with these bent over in place, and I have epoxied the zip tie to the hand crank. Throughout all of this, there were no modifications made to the original machine. The original machine is still original. There was nothing screwed into it or modified in any way, okay? But once those were epoxied down, putting that big rubber piece over it, that just helps secure it even more. So now I want to show you if I can get close enough and still have it. Now, usually for a hand crank, like for a Singer, if I was going to do this, you would have to turn this crank away from you, okay? Because this is a white rotary and everything is in backwards world when you use one of these things, I have to turn this crank towards me, all right? So, if you can see, I turn the crank, she moves really well, she operates just about silently, and everything like that. So it's really cool. In addition to the bolts that I have holding this on, I did put some epoxy under there, and I'm going to let that dry overnight. And I think that you just saw me wipe a little drip off the bottom. It is clear epoxy, so, you know, it shouldn't be ugly. And I also have the epoxy around that piece. So I'm just going to let that dry overnight But I wanted to show you because I think that that is a very, very cool little modification.